Hey guys, in the word psychology, the word psyche is key, but we rarely pause to ponder its meaning. In his book, Understanding Human Nature, Alfred Adler explores these concepts on three fronts. He begins by attempting to define consciousness. Though a troublesome task, we can easily notice that consciousness is a property of living, moving organisms. It's worth noting that movement seems to be peculiar to the existence of the psyche. One could argue that organisms that are immobile lack the necessity for consciousness simply because they cannot act to change their circumstances, and therefore their consciousness becomes irrelevant. By this token, consciousness and movement are tied together. This tie compels consciousness to inherit qualities of movement. If we examine the features of movement, we find elements such as foresight, memory, and adaptability. To move, we must learn from past experiences, anticipate threats and opportunities, and adjust behavior accordingly. In like manner, these qualities are at the core of psychological development. Hence, we can affirm that development of the psyche is closely connected with movement. Adler goes on to claim that psychological activity, or the activity of the psyche, is nothing more than a set of mechanisms designed to ensure survival and development. By accepting this claim, we begin to conceptualize the psyche. However, we can only understand its activity in relation to its environment, because the environment dictates which tools or strategies the psyche should employ to promote survival. For example, lungs are useless underwater but are crucial on land. From this emerges the need for adaptation. This need pushes the psyche into a constant striving towards a goal, an ideal state in which survival is guaranteed. Here we uncover a crucial piece of the puzzle, the goal toward which the psyche strives. This goal is always in flux and is responsible for shaping our thoughts and feelings. From this lens, psychological activity is nothing more than preparation for a future situation. By combining the necessity of adaptability with the striving for a goal, we can map self expression with some degree of accuracy. However, since the goal is always shifting, the map must constantly reshape itself to orient toward the desired end. Our goal is determined by what allows us best to adapt to our environment. Nevertheless, if we suppose the existence of free will, then man can always rebel against the constraints of adaptability. On the other hand, speculating this goal can be done by observing people's activities. Matter of fact, very few individuals know what their goal is. The truth is, the fundamental factors that shape the psyche are established in infancy. These factors emerge through the rules and restrictions society imposes on children, which propel them to struggle for security and better circumstances. Strangely enough, children often attempt to secure a margin of safety that's greater than necessary. From this, a new characteristic of the psyche arises, the striving for dominance and superiority. The game is no longer about survival, it becomes about a greed for ultimate safety. This new characteristic helps shape the goals of children. For example, if the world demands more than the child believes they can deliver, we begin to see the birth of excuses. The goal then becomes the avoidance of difficulties. However, we must remember that human psychological reactions are not fixed because the goal itself isn't fixed. Particularly when dealing with children, we should not overlook that a child's psyche is a temporary crystallization of an evolving goal. Still, we can distinguish between two main attitudes. The first is an optimistic attitude in which children feel more or less capable of handling life's problems. In this case, traits such as courage, responsibility, and hard work tend to emerge. On the opposite end, a pessimistic attitude develops, breeding timidity, distrust, and introspection. So, to sum it all up, What I find interesting here is that the psyche isn't some mysterious abstract force. It's actually really practical. It moves, it adapts, it reacts, it wants to survive, and when survival feels threatened, it starts to strive for more. More safety, more control, more superiority. And all of that gets shaped by the environment, especially early on. But the key idea, at least the one I'm walking away with, is that the psyche is always striving towards something, whether that's rooted in fear, hope, or habit. That striving is never random. And if we want to understand ourselves or anyone else, we need to stop thinking in fixed traits and start looking at the goal behind the behavior because the psyche is just trying to get somewhere. The question is, where? Thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a great day. Bye bye.